Welcome to Heidi Relationships. Today, we'll read some more stories from Reddit. But before we start, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. That would help the channel a lot. Thank you very much in advance.
The first one is titled, Cheat on Me. I'll get your child support raised and your car repoed. First, the child support. So, I was with my ex-husband for about 10 years. When I first met him, he knocked up his previous GF before meeting me, basically kind of ghosted her. Now reflecting back on what happened, convinced me it was her keeping him away from his kid and that he was just the poor victim in all of it. She had taken him to court, got child support for $324 a month for a while, then tried to take him back to get it increased because she thought he was working and making more, but it backfired, and it got reduced to $112 a month. It stayed like that for about 6 to 7 years, and he actually got behind a couple of times just paying this because he'd lose a job here or there. One of the many ways he convinced me to move out of my home state to his. There's more jobs in his home state and cost of living is cheaper. Come 2018, I decided to leave him because he wasn't putting in the effort to find a job that would support both of us while I went to nursing school. I had been working the same full-time federal government job and doing school part-time our entire relationship, supporting us while he went to school for medical billing and coding and didn't do anything with it once he was done. His excuse, they're outsourcing these jobs to India. He bounced from one job to another for one reason or another. Once it came time for me to actually finally apply to a nursing program, I told him he needed to finally step up. He told me he would, but never said what he was doing. He would come home from work and complain about the work and the people he worked with. He was eventually fired from that job because his boss said he worked way too slow, and he was delaying orders going out for the company. We also had a bit of a dead bedroom, so that also pushed me to want to leave him. I finally decided to leave, and the ex moved in an ex-roommate a couple months later. She had lived with us previously because she found out her first husband had cheated on her. We had decided to help her get on her feet, and she met her second husband, then moved out. Why is this important? Because 4 months after I left, I found emails with nudes of this ex-roommate that my ex was forwarding to a secret email account I had no clue about. They had been a lot more friendly than I had realized for over 4+ years. The ex-roommate who was currently living in our marital home was separate from her second husband because my ex didn't like him in the house. Granted, I didn't like him either because he was a sleazebag who was also cheating on her, but I digress. My ex even got friendly with his ex-wife. I was wife number 2, and a third person I didn't recognize. Then found out my ex knocked up the roommate 2 months after being official. I didn't get to confront my ex or her with this other than me writing an email and attaching the photos I now had. I had to do something else. So, I reached out to my ex's GF, who he has his first child with. He's made no effort to be in his kid's life, a source of fights for us here and there, and I tried a few times over the years of reaching out to her and establishing a relationship between them. My mom has a bigger relationship with a kid she has no relation to than my piece of crap ex. I told her I left him, that he was making way more money at his job and she should file to have it looked at. She did and got it increased to $264 a month. Now for the repo of the car. After I left, he decided to buy a brand new Chevy Equinox for over $32,000. I have access to his Credit Karma account, so that's how I know. He works commission-based sales selling furniture, TVs and appliances. He doesn't bring home much. He actually opened a credit card through his work, bought $5,000 worth of stuff to furnish the house, then let it go to collections. He used my contact info and they called me trying to collect on it. The payments on that new car were about $634 a month. He made 2 payments then stopped. Now we had bought a house together before I left, and he finally agreed to sell our marital home after getting behind on the payments and not doing what he needed to keep it. We had over 60% equity in the house. He decided to use his half of the sale to buy a smaller house outright instead of paying off his debt. His logic has always been if I don't have a house payment the other bills are affordable. Part of the reasoning he used to bully me into buying our previous house. Either way, I found out his new address, called the company that originated the loan and updated them with his current information. So hopefully they'll be picking up their car any day now. The next one is titled, Fiancé, F31. Said her ex is the love of her life. My fiancé, F31, and I, M33, got engaged in October last year and have been in a relationship for 5 years now. Everything has been great, and I can honestly say that I've never met anyone who comes close to her. She's been the love of my life for sure. I've known her most of my life. We grew up on the same street just round the corner from each other. Her mom and dad still stay in the same house, and I still stay in the same house I grew up in, which my mom left to me when she passed away in 2014. We still don't officially live together yet, but for all intents and purposes she lives here. Her parents and her are really close though, and she still has her bedroom there and will occasionally spend the night there, but she's never away from here. Anyway, this morning I decided to go take a walk down to the shops to buy some things, and as I was about halfway down, 15-minute walk, I realized I had forgotten my face mask. Masks are mandatory here in shops since 10th of July. So I had to walk back and get mine. When I walked in the door to grab the mask from the kitchen table, I heard her speaking to someone loudly on the phone in the living room, and she said, "Yeah, but David will always be the love of my life." David is her ex-boyfriend. I don't know a great deal about him, but I know they were in a relationship for 2 years and it ended a year before we started dating. He also dumped her. I just grabbed my mask and walked back out, and just as I got to the shops I felt weird and I had to sit down as my mind was going in 1,000 different directions. I eventually got back home and immediately told her I feel sick and sent her back round to her parents' house as I didn't want her about as I was ill. I'm now lying in my bed wondering what to do, to be honest. I know she didn't do anything wrong. It's not like she cheated on me or intentionally went out of her way to hurt me, but what's heard can't be unheard. She basically said that the person who she's agreed to marry isn't a patch on an ex she's not been with for 6 years. The fact she said he will always be the love of her life also means that it's a void game. Her heart's already been taken and there's nothing I could ever do to change that. Also, what would happen if he did come back into her life? You can't turn down the love of your life when they come calling, and I'd be dumped quicker than yesterday's leftovers. So, what do I do? Tell her I was earwigging on her and heard her say that crap? Just end the relationship for a completely vague reason like, "Oh, it's not you, it's me," etc. Swallow my pride and pretend I didn't hear it? Everything has been wonderful, but there's no way on this earth I want to be someone's second choice. Especially when her ex is the one on her mind that she obviously would be with if she could. I'm thinking about just saying it's not working between us. She's now texting me about coming round tonight and mothering and spoiling me 'cause I'm the sickie duck that. Update 1. I was going to update sooner, but I've spent the last 3.5 days in a drunken stupor, so my apologies, but I'll warn you, this is not a good update. Right, so after posting and receiving some advice on Reddit on Thursday, I was thinking of telling her to come back round on Thursday night so we could talk, but settled on Friday morning instead as I wanted to get my head in a clearer state. She still thought I was ill, so I needed a bit of time to think through what I was going to say. So, she comes round on Friday morning about 8 a.m. with rolls and tuna mayo crunch her mum had made for me, along with grapes, sweets and juice and stuff. I think she could see right away that something was wrong, as I must have looked stony-faced, and you could cut the atmosphere with a knife. Anyways, I said to her that I wasn't really sick and that yesterday as I was going to the shops I forgot my mask. Had to come back to retrieve it, and when I got in to get it I heard her talking in the other room. About David. Her face went completely pale, and she started welling up, so I instinctively stopped talking and just stared at her. She then runs into the toilet, locks the door and starts hysterically crying, and alarm bells are going off all over the place in my head. Her reaction made me think she didn't know what I heard, so she must have said some other crap about him as well. I chapped on the door and told her if she has any aspirations of saving this relationship, she had better tell me everything right now. 30 minutes or so go by and she finally comes out dabbing her face with a tissue and tells me David got back in touch with her 4 or 5 months ago and she had been sleeping with him once or twice a week since. I said on my previous post she will occasionally go and stay with her parents. It's usually about once a week, sometimes twice, sometimes none. The thing is I've just popped round myself dozens of times over the years to speak to her mum or dad, watch TV or anything at all really without informing her, and she's always been there, so it's just become routine, and I've never thought any more of it. This has obviously been the times that she's gone to meet David. All I can think of is that the snippet of conversation I heard her having was her friend or something helping her choose between David and me. When I heard this, I hit the roof. I threw her out, grabbed handfuls of her stuff, put it in bin bags and threw it out the door into the front garden. She's still standing there, by the way. I then grabbed my garden hose and drenched the crap out of the bags with it. I'm not proud of that. It was extremely petty and in hindsight I should never have done that. She at this point has ran round to her house and about a minute later her dad comes rampaging round screaming. Her dad and I end up rolling about the now quagmire-ish front garden fighting, at about 9 a.m. in the morning no less. Police vans and everything ended up turning up and half the street was out because of the Rammy. Afterwards, I blocked her on everything and went to my friend's house where 3 of us spent the weekend, and Monday, they took off work, I'm on furlough, drinking. When I got back in the house this morning, I noticed she had been back in the house at some point. Made the beds, done the washing and ironed. I have no idea why she done this. As I'm writing this she's tried to get in again. I haven't been able to change the locks yet, so I put the door chains on the front and back door and from upstairs heard the door opening and the chains clanging as she tried to get in. There's also a note that she's put through the door. I don't even want to read it right now. I'm too hurt, hungry and hungover to even think about what she has to say. Update 2. Sorry for the belated update, but I'm in a bad way right now. I'm half drunk as I write this, so bear with me. Since everything that has happened, things have taken a turn for the worse. As many of you mentioned I should do, I sent an email to her father, explaining my side of the story and apologizing for taking things public and embarrassing his daughter, but as I said previously, I acted instinctively. I didn't apologize for fighting him as I was reacting to him coming at me. He basically told me to duck off and accused me of biting his ear for some reason. So that's what was stuck in my teeth. I joke, of course. If you don't laugh, you'll cry. About a week ago I went outside to find my car keyed right down from the passenger side wing mirror round to the boot. Last Sunday I was walking down the road to meet a friend at the Arches, a place where we occasionally hang out and walk from an arched bridge, and as I was turning the corner the local mouth, gossip, called me a disgrace. I said, how am I disgrace? And she told me that I'm a disgrace for beating up my ex-fiancé. Let's just be clear here, I've never laid a finger on her in my life. Either her father or someone else is perpetuating this lie, and me throwing her crap out and hosing it has obviously given this an authenticity. I haven't spoken to my ex, and she hasn't tried to contact me anymore. I think they're all on the same page now, that I'm the bad guy. I've got the ball rolling and putting my house up for sale. I can't live here anymore. I wish I still had my mum to lean on, she would make things better. Final update. Firstly, I want to thank everyone who has reached out. I've tried to reply to everyone and hopefully this update will help. I am since still in my house, but I will be renting it out rather than selling. I can't in good conscience give up something that was my mum's and has been in the family for generations. I have since spoke to the father and I understand why the family circled the wagons, but to throw me under the bus so brutally was genuinely ridiculous. Collateral damage to me and my name is alright apparently. Only known them my entire life. All in all, I feel like I was in the midst of a crap shower that changed course, still struggling but feeling a lot better now that I've got an umbrella and a ducking roadmap. This is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed the relationship stories. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video and write a comment. I really appreciate your support and it helps my channel so much. Thank you.